Hello my friends, welcome to my channel. Today I have to share with you my real feelings. So you see, 2 episodes before, I was using very detailed information. I organized them all together and to make it systematic, because as I mentioned earlier in the live stream, that we need to build a solid foundation for this theory, this philosophical theory called relational non-duality. So I was trying very hard, but then I found the difficulties for myself. That is, the way that I put it, it's just not for me. I feel literally suffering. Because when I just put those information together, that yes, it's very detailed and might be interesting, but I felt like somehow disconnected. I feel like I become a machine for information. I just blah, 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 all the information, here you go. But the thing is, who need information nowadays? Like, we are in the age of information overload. Is completely overwhelming. If somebody wants to know information, the best way I would suggest go to Ask AI, Ask ChatGPT, because they can give you all the information instantly in 1 second. You don't need to watch a long video to tell you all the informations. That's not what YouTube channel now is about anymore. I don't think so. Because what really we want. And also, you see, I'm trying to build a community here. I'm always, every weekend, every Friday, I have the live stream to discuss everything with you. And you know my English is not good, but I'm still trying to do this. Why? Because I want human-to-human communication. I don't want to become like a giant machine for information. Nobody is as giant machine of information as like AI or internet. But what we need is true communication, true connections. So my way is always a little bit, I understand everything non-dual. I don't separate science and philosophy. I don't separate feelings and rationality. So if I talk about anything about physics, about science, about philosophy or religions, they're all connected. And that will naturally lead to me to express something a little bit different to the topic we discuss. So I cannot really focus on the topic. You see, this is, I don't know how to express this, but this is probably in my nature. I cannot just focus on this. I want to see the whole holistic picture and I want to express the holistic feeling about all of this that eventually leads to that everything is connected. So please tolerate my tendency, and I want to express as a real human being. And say today I didn't write any script, but I feel great to express like this. So today we are going to discuss those scientific theories built based on substance or entity-based thinking. You see, there are a lot of scientific theories. They believe that, at least they built based on this kind of worldview, that is, the whole world is a combination of very, very small substance, like little balls. And all these little balls, all of this substance, they are isolated. They are self-sufficient. So relationship is something add to them. It's not their essence, but is the combination of different substances. So this kind of worldview, and as we discussed earlier, you can find all these trends in ancient philosophy. And this is how I say science and philosophy are non-dual. We separate them is because we, we artificially, we want to think in that way. But is that the true nature? Not really. They are connected. So what is philosophy? Philosophy is that how we understand the world. Fundamentally is the way we think, right? But of course, when we go to a more rigid and a more systematic understanding, so we call it, okay, this is this theory, this theory, this theory. That is philosophical theories. And what is science? Science is also how we understand the world, but we more focus on data, analyzing, and experience, provement, this kind of things. So the angle are slightly different, but fundamentally, science is how we understand the world fundamentally, but it's based on philosophy. Philosophy is the foundation, is the mother of science. And even till nowadays, still the same. So when we build any scientific theories, we will pre-assume a philosophical worldview. This is something we got to understand. So when we build a scientific theory in this way, we already pre-assume a philosophical worldview behind. And now you would understand why there are some scientific theory go to the so-called dead end. Why? Because their pre-assumption for their philosophical worldview is a dead end. And what is the dead end? The dead end is with so-called substance or entity-based thinking. That is a dead end. And in 2 episodes before, I have very detailed information there, so you can have a look of those information. So that will be the proof why this is a natural trend that eventually we will go to the relational understanding. But now we go to the realm of science. We will analyze this again, so you will understand it in a more holistic picture. All right, so now let's discuss. And please forgive me, you might heard a lot of grammar mistake or pronunciation problems, but this is just me, and please forgive me on that. Okay, the first theory we already mentioned so many times, that is the Newtonian mechanics. Newtonian mechanics. So how this worldview understand the existence? Basically, in one sentence to summarize, is that everything is fixed. That's all. So how it understand it in detail is that time is fixed, speed of entities are fixed, and every entity, the essence of these entities, the substances are also fixed. So in this kind of the worldview, you can easily see where it leads to. What it leads to, that is determinism. Why? Because if everything is fixed, then cause and effect are completely fixed as well. And so what does it mean? That means everything is completely certain. There is no such thing as probability. Everything is determined. This is why the next worldview, next scientific theory we want to discuss is the determinism. I don't even know how you call determinism as a scientific theory or philosophical theory. Like, even you separate these two, it's just absurd. You shouldn't separate them because they fundamentally are talking about the same thing. It's just the scientific theory, they focus more on how you understand this material world in a determinist way. Determinism suggests that let's assume that if there is a super intelligence, would know that every particle's speed and the pattern and everything, then theoretically, this intelligence can predict the future. And this is a lot of scientists nowadays are working towards this direction. So this, you know what it reminds me? It reminds me I Ching, which is I Ching, and astrology. The thing is that I'm more like tends to be in the middle way here. I'm not suggesting that there is no such thing as tendency. What is tendency? Like, for example, I'm a person with really bad temper. So there is a huge tendency in the future I might get worse, or I might end up in jail because I cannot control my temper and I do something bad to hurt other people. So there is such tendencies there. But what I will never overlook is free will. And a lot of people, they don't even believe free will is real. It's okay, we will discuss in the future. But I always believe why free will is real, because I never considered me or you or anybody as observers. We are not observers in any system. When we look at anything, when we think about anything, we already participate in this system, because every system is fundamentally relationship, in my view. So in that case, how can you suggest that that everything is already predetermined, determined? Because your free will is still involved in there. That means you can manifest the future with your free will and with the tendencies, but it's not something that you have there's nothing you can do about it. Okay, if I have really bad temper, does it mean like this is like a fixed entity or fixed nature in me? No, I don't believe that. Because everything I understand as Tao, as flow. Everything is ever flowing. You see, we cannot step into the same river twice because river and ourselves are constantly flowing. I'm not saying like changing in a dramatic way, but we are ever flowing. Our nature was developing. If you compare you now to you as a child, will you consider that you are identical to that person, or how you think, how you understand? What really remains is the identification of I. You feel like I am this observer, like this a permanent observer. But is that real? We will discuss in the future. But anyway, what I'm really trying to express here is that I'm not agree with determinism, but I agree with tendency exists, which is cause and effect. We know that the word is cause and effect, but doesn't mean we are not participants. Doesn't mean we are just purely observers. So I'm not agree with the worldview of determinism, because determinism is based on the worldview of entity and substance-based thinking. That's what I'm trying to express here. And the next one is called atomism. So what is atomism? It's very easy to understand actually. It suggests that every matter, every flowers, the hair, everything is made up by small little balls, this kind of substance, this kind of particles. And that's the fundamental essence of everything. It's the combination of these things that made up this world, which is what we discuss, this kind of thinking. But what is the problem? That we more and more we discover the process of discovering what is the boss inside of the boss is infinite. Is infinite. You think this ball is the ultimate essence, and then you go closer, you zoom it out. You find this ball is combined with other balls, and you zoom that ball out, combined of infinite balls. So that means what? That means this way of thinking itself is a dead end. It's not how we should understand the world. Because essentially it will be an infinite progress. You zoom in out, zoom in out, zoom in out, infinite balls. You give it different name in different layer, but the process itself is infinite. So that means this way of thinking is a dead end. So in another word, if you keep zooming out, you will find eventually you will go to the realization that the existence itself is less and less like a thing. It's more and more like a manifestation, like a process, like an event. And this is how we turn towards the relational understanding of existence. You see, all of this is not like we're just born with all the infinite knowledge that, oh, everything is relational. It's not like that. We've been through a lot of failure and dead ends in theories, in understandings, and we eventually will go to the conclusion. So it's not a straightforward things that we can achieve, this kind of understanding. We got to been through so many in our life that we can come to this realization. No matter it's science or philosophy or theology, spirituality, essentially, it's not something you can easily gain without pay your price, which is our failure, which is our dead ends. And now we already discussed, analyzed three entity and substance-based thinking scientific theories. And what kind of worldview we get out from this kind of thinking? A determined, a machine-like world, and everything between them, they are just connect mysteriously somehow, but they are fundamentally separated. This is this kind of worldview. And do you believe this is the ultimate truth of our existence? I don't believe. I don't believe this is the ultimate truth of our existence. Or you might say, oh, I'm just sentimental. It's just that I don't want it, but maybe this is a fact. Well, if this is a fact, then we wouldn't move into quantum physics. If this is the fact, we wouldn't develop relational thinking philosophy during the history. If this is the ultimate truth, then we wouldn't move forward. So it's self-evidence why this kind of thinking is dead end. Well, now let's analyze it in detail. Why? The first thing is that entity and substance-based thinking cannot explain relationship. It just tells you that, okay, this is one thing, two things, three things, particle, particle, particle. But how they connect? How? How could mind and body, how could consciousness and matter connect? This is called the hard problem of consciousness. There is no answer for that. Why? Because the pre-assumption itself is already went to the wrong direction. And also, this is something I wrote down because I cannot pronounce it correctly. So, why can gravity act across distance? Why do electromagnetic interactions occur? Why is consciousness connected to the body, and why does observation appear to affect quantum physics? Right? So all of these things, we think is mystery, and we're still trying to figure it out. That is okay. But please re-examine the pre-assumption before you try to figure out this question. Because if the pre-assumption is already go to the wrong direction, you will never be able to figure this out. And this is honest. So this is the deepest contradiction, which is that the more you want to understand existence as isolated things, the more you cannot understand existence. Because there is no way you can explain relation. Let me give you an example. Like in real life, you want to understand what is love and what is being loved. What's the definition of love? You can understand it in so much analyzing, theories. You can do everything you want. But you will never be able to understand till the time you really love somebody and you really being loved. This is why. Because love is what? Love is a relationship. Relationship is not something you can objectify. You want to objectify it and you put it somewhere in another side to worship, to think about it, to meditate on what love is. That will never work. Why? Because love is something only you can feel it, you can understand it through participation, through your real compassion, understanding, and really authentically love somebody. As simple as that. So I often hear some people, they believe that the reality is fundamentally isolated. I am I, you are you, we are two different individuals, and so-called love is just an illusion. And all of this resonance, they are just a giant dream that among different islands. And I disagree with that. Because you want me to give you the scientific evidence, there is scientific evidence. If there is, you want it through the philosophical angle, there is philosophical analyzing. We never lack of this. This kind of information is already overload. If you want to search, go search about it. But this is the nature, this is the reality that we are all relational. We are not isolated entities. So when I talk about oneness, why we are one, it's because we are all relational. We are all from this relational field. It's not superstitious. It's not sentimental. It's not, cult-like stuff. Never, ever was like that. It's just a sincere and genuine realization that through time that eventually we'll all go to this river, which this ocean, which is the ocean of love. It's not something imaginated. But at the same time, I want to say that the way of substance and entity-based thinking, it's not a original sin or something. It's not like we're doomed. We're just meant to. It's our destiny. We have to live in ignorance in this way. It's not really. It's just our tendency in our nature. We like to objectify things because this is how we understand the world. We see the diversity. We don't understand how this diversity can be oneness. So it takes time to go to the realization of relationship. It's not something you can directly achieve, as I said earlier. So please don't have too much burden on these things. It's okay. but it's a long way to go that we can finally return to our relational nature. All we need to erase is not something real as an obstacle. The only burden is in our mind. The only bondage is in our mind, that we have this ignorance, that we don't see what is already there. But it's okay. So this is all the reason why that we need to accompany each other and improve together to finally break free from this kind of ignorance, isn't it? And now I don't really consider those kind of thinking is something we should just blame it, we should just hate it and despise it. I believe that everything we experienced in life is just the boat. It's just some certain boat, they might just take you to a certain stage, and then you need transcend to take another boat, isn't it? So it is a process, it's a long journey. It's not like a bus that from the beginning stop you can go to the end stop. Sometimes you got to change bus to go to the direction you really want to go, right? Otherwise you might just not go anywhere. So this is how I understand this kind of thinking. It has its function in certain time that help us to build logic, build this kind of rational thinking. And but essentially, eventually we got to transcend it. Because eventually we go to the conclusion, no matter from scientific or philosophical or even theology or spiritual, we understand that the ultimate truth is not something you can objectify. It's something that far beyond our rigid thinking, is far beyond our way of dualistic thinking. It's something non-dual. And to understand the non-dual nature between that ultimate truth and us, this is the ultimate freedom. And this journey takes time, but it's okay. What's the matter? Life is a long journey. And it's not because we are not modest enough, so we don't want to consider it as a object. It's the opposite, because we should be modest. We should understand the ultimate reality is something beyond our objectification. It's beyond that. It's the opposite. Oh, this feels so great. This feels so great that I can just speak like this, and this is all the words that inside of my heart I want to express. And I feel great because during this process I feel non-dual. I feel real. I really feel non-duality. I don't just give you information, and because when I just give you information, basically we are worshiping information alone. And that is, again, we're trying to deconstruct this kind of entity-based thinking. But then we put information as an entity to put it aside. Okay, information is the king. And then that is like the opposite to what we do. Essentially, what we need is the flow, to back to relationship. There is nothing we should be put aside to worship. The ultimate truth is the flow itself. So during this process, even with my English like this, I can feel the resonance with you. And I know that you can, deep inside, you can feel some resonance with me. And that is what matters. So thank you, my friend. And I really enjoy this way of expressing. And I'm looking forward to hear from you. You can always share with me your thought and anything you want to express. I would be really glad to hear that. Finally, I want to remind that this is something I always say in one of the episodes about why should we understand oneness. I also say this. Information is not the final goal. The final goal is that what we actually resonate with this information. If we just, you say we're browsing TikTok, or we watch different short videos all the time, we are information overload. The different content, entertainment or educational, we got full of information. The thing is, if you want any information, you go search AI. But what does that information to do with you? This relationship is what matters. As we said, we are going back to the relationship from entity-based thinking. So don't put this information as an entity is the final goal. Please don't think in that way. So this entire video, all this information here doesn't matter. What matters is that you can resonate with me. This is what matters. If you can even just slightly feel that, yeah, maybe I should back to relationship rather than analyzing what is the essence of life, maybe I should really to love somebody and become passionate rather than define what love is, what is the best human to be. If this is something this video can even just slightly inspire you to, then that's it. The purpose is already served. Really. As you know, I'm a person who really into philosophy, into knowledge, into wisdom. I think it's everyone's nature deep inside that we want to figure it out what is existence about. So, but essentially, you can take this journey for a very long time or very short time. Eventually, you will go to the realization. You understand that all of this information eventually have to be transcended. All of this knowledge in your brain, eventually you have to abandon them. Not abandon them, but you bring them with you to the next stage. That's how it works. So essentially, it will always reflect it in our daily life. And I'm really grateful that you give me this opportunity to have this authentic expression. And you can say about this, I'm fearless. I'm not afraid of my English, and I'm not afraid of, even maybe I will be one of the channel that most unprofessional in YouTube. But I don't mind. I think this is what is really valuable, and I want it to be for this channel, which is the authenticity. This is what we really need, and this is what we're longing for. And nowadays, everyone is so busy. Not everyone got the chance to have somebody who want to authentically to chat with you, to discuss with you, to resonate with you. So here I am. I want to be a channel like this. And thank you for your continued support, my friend. If you like my channel, please subscribe. You can also support me through Buy Me a Coffee link. And please always know that deep inside that we are all connected. And I'm really grateful that you gave me this chance to express this. All right, I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.